decided to record this semi-review of those Spoke Zarathustra by Nietzsche because Nietzsche is a very interesting philosopher and he is a writer that is very cryptic and poetic, and just about anyone who reads his books can put his own ideas into the words of Nietzsche. And we see this with all kinds of commentators that people go to understand Nietzsche, but all of that is just really an interpretation, because Nietzsche book, Nietzsche work is very obscure. It reminds me about the obscurity of certain texts in the Bible, and all kinds of theologians coming up with all kinds of often contradictory theories about what this or that verse means, and all kinds of orthodox and heretical views stemming from this. Ultimately, in the Christianity, you cannot resolve these matters without an authority that proclaims this is truth, this is false. About Nietzsche, there is no such authority, so just about anyone can say whatever he thinks. And the most important book of Nietzsche is, of course, the Spoke Zarathustra, and his cryptic method of writing and poetic tendencies are very clear in this book, and this was his opus magnum, his self-proclaimed opus magnum. He was deeply connected to the character of Zarathustra. And why it's so important? Of course, it introduces the idea of ubermensch. And what does uberman mean? People have all kinds of different ideas. People claim often that you can become ubermensch in your current reality just because you throw away all authorities and you proclaim yourself to be a free thinker. You can become a superhuman, superman, and ubermensch. But I think that if you read the actual book itself, it's very clear that Zarathustra is always claiming that ubermensch is something that will come in the future, and the greatest sacrifice of human being is to live a life in the hope of ubermensch, in hope of being a successful, productive bridge to the ubermensch, but not actually being in reality of the ubermensch. Like Zarathustra is just the beginning, the prophet of the ubermensch. But I would argue that he knows that he himself is too weak, too fragile to be what he envisions by this ubermensch idea. And what is ubermensch really was not really very clear. Franz Overbeck, the man who was probably the closest and the longest lasting friendship to Friedrich Nietzsche, and he was very unorthodox Protestant theologian. Actually, he was an atheist, but he was a theologian, and he was very good critic of modern culture and modern theology, modern morality, modern Protestant theology. and he was coming from the same intellectual circus as Nietzsche. And this Franz Overbeck character was the one who came to the rescue of Nietzsche when he collapsed into madness, and he saw Nietzsche in his madman state, and he wrote a lot about Nietzsche. He recognized in him intellectual giant. Overbeck always said that Nietzsche was greater than him, but he was very critical, and he said that in his view, even Nietzsche didn't really knew what to do with this idea of the ubermensch. It was a very nice idea, but it was very empty inside. It was empty because if you try to explain what this means, you find nothing. And it actually is corresponding to the feeling I get from reading Spoke Zarathustra, and ubermensch is think about the future of mankind. So obviously neither Nietzsche nor Zarathustra can really know what this ubermensch would be. And so now what is the path to the ubermensch? Yes, path to the ubermensch is to be a free thinker, of course, and to be a brave thinker, and to live your life according to your values, right? And being creator of your own values, but don't expect that your values are actually good values, because Zarathustra and Nietzsche argues for all people to be creators of their own values, and he is not as stupid to say that he will always, as Nietzsche or Zarathustra, that he will always have the best values, but he argues that all people will become free thinkers and will become the creators of their own values, and then of course we will have everlasting war of the opposing values. And through this everlasting war, Nietzsche thinks that humanity will change in such a way that it will lead to the evolution and emerging of the ubermensch. That's my take on Spoke Zarathustra, and I hope people will find it interesting. I am sorry for the quality of this recording, but I think if you are interested in Nietzsche, you can find merit in this, and I hope it will start a discussion, and I am looking forward to making more audio vlogs about Nietzsche and other philosophers.